you had told me a few years ago that the last of the naturally aspirated V8 sports sedans was going to have a Lexus badge on it, I definitely would not have believed you, and I might have even laughed a little bit. Yet here we are in 2024 with the IS 500. Now this one did not get a full-on model update in 2021. Instead, it got a second facelift here for the third generation. So the platform is getting a little bit long in the tooth, but in 2022 they did shove that V8 under the hood for the IS 500. So we've had this model for a couple of years now. 2024 brings a couple of changes over the 2023 model year, but not too much here. As always, we're going to go through this thing from the outside in, talk about what it's been like to live with. Let's go ahead and take a look. Underneath the hood here, no turbochargers, no superchargers, just this big old naturally aspirated 5-liter V8. This thing makes 472 horsepower, 395 pound-feet of torque. Definitely plenty to get this thing moving. This weighs about 3,900 pounds, only about 143 pounds more than the IS 350, even with this big old engine in here. And this shares a transmission with the RCF, the 8-speed torque converter automatic transmission. Power goes exclusively through the rear wheels. There is no all-wheel drive version of the IS 500, and you do get a Torsen limited slip differential standard here with the 500. Fuel economy, you're looking at about 17 city, 25 highway. I'm averaging right around 18, not exactly going easy on it. If you really wanted to drive around in eco mode, maybe you could get closer to 20, which is the combined average that the EPA is estimating, but I'm getting about 18. You don't buy this thing for the fuel economy. The pricing for the 2024 IS 500, it starts out at $60,000, goes up to $64,000 if you're in the premium trim level like we have here. Let's talk about what the differences are between those two trims as we go through this car here from the outside in. But there's also going to be a special edition appearance package. There are only going to be 150 of those. Those are going to be blue vector, and it's really just appearance on the outside and on the interior trim. Back for 2024 is this Incognito color, this gray that we've got going on. I don't know why gray is so popular nowadays, but this is the color that was used on the launch edition back in 2022. Now you can just order it across the board for your IS, whether it's the 500 or the 350. We do have the dark chrome surround on the windows. We've got the black mirror caps. The front fascia is updated from the 350. It's going to look a little bit different. It actually adds a couple of inches to the front to give us 187 inches overall instead of 185. And you've got the hood bulge going on that you can see from the side here. There are a couple of other changes on the front and back that we'll go through as we go through this car. We've got the same long 110-inch wheelbase, quite long for a car of this size, but that will definitely help with the ride quality. That's going to be on 19s. It's going to come standard on the NK 19s, which are going to save you some weight over the wheels that come on the 350. It will save you about a pound each on the front two corners and about 2 pounds each on the back two corners here. You can also option some other 19s, the matte black BBS wheels, which will save you about 4 pounds at each corner. And those wheels actually match the ones that were on the launch edition back in 2022. Between the color and the wheels, you can almost make your own launch edition now. Obviously, you don't get the badges, and the seats inside are going to be a little bit different, but you can make it look like it on the outside. But as I mentioned, either way, they're 19s. Either way, they're going to be wrapped in summer performance tires, these Potenza S001Ls, and you're going to get a staggered setup where we've got the two 65/35s in the back and the two 35/40s in the front, the wider tire in the back, because this is rear drive, better traction, better grip when you're coming off the line here. These are quite wide. If you're at low speeds at full lock, you are going to get a little bit of scrubbing. So nothing to be worried about there, but that is just because this is such a wide tire. You got the 4-piston calipers up front with the big Lexus logo sticking through. I always love when you can see that big caliper sticking through with some open wheels like that. Always love that look. And then the 2 pistons on the back. You do get keyless access here. touch at the top here to lock, touch inside to unlock. You don't get auto folding mirrors or anything like that. They will tilt when you go into reverse. They do have blind spot monitoring on here, but you do not have like the auto folding in here. You do have to manually fold those up when you park, and I absolutely love this line going through here. That's on all the IS models. Nice aggressive looking front end. We got the big grill going on. Lexus grills are just always gigantic, even back when this thing was refreshed in 2021. We do have the front camera, again, the 360 camera, because this one is the 500 premium. We got the big bit of a bulge here, the raised hood because it's the 500. Got to make some extra room there for that big old engine. We got the triple LEDs on this one because it is the premium. The regular IS 500 gets the bi LEDs. The premium gets the triple LEDs. Those are not adaptive though. They will not turn with you when you turn the steering wheel, but they are a little bit of extra visibility there, a little bit brighter there than the bi LEDs. I definitely recommend the triple LEDs. We got some fake venting on the side, fake vents for fake air, some real vents across the front there, and a little bit of a different front fascia going on here as compared to the IS350, as I mentioned. The back end here, some more things that are going to set this apart as the 500 outside of obviously the 500 badge going on there. We do have the subtle spoiler. We got a different diffuser going on down here, and we do have the quad exhaust tips for some great noises out of that V8. We do have some parking sensors going on back here, standard. I love this light bar going across with the LED light tail lights in here. And this black around it, the black and the red and the white all look great together. Then we do have the backup cam as well. You can reach under here to open up the back here, the trunk, or you can use this old style key. They have not even updated the Lexus key. Hold that down just to pop it up a little bit. Not a power open or anything, just pops open a little bit. And it opens up into 10.8 cubic feet of space. It is a sedan. It's a small sedan. Not a whole lot of space, but it should be enough if you're just daily driving this. If you're taking a road trip with a family of 4, then you're probably going to have some problems, but for your daily use, you'll probably be okay. You got the 60-40 split on the seat, so we do have some hooks going on throughout. And underneath here, we have an actual spare tire, no fix a flat kit going on, tire iron, and an actual spare. Like to see that, definitely. And a little grab handle here so you don't have to grab the paint. As far as the interior goes on this IS 500, it's a bit of a dinosaur here. This car has been around since 2014. This is still the 3rd generation, whereas most of the rest of the Lexus lineup has seen full-on remodels, new generations, but you still do get quite a few nice features here. We'll go through all of that. This is still the entry-level IS, even though it doesn't feel entry-level when you're in the 500. Because it is still up, 60 grand, 64 grand for the premium that we have here. So pricing wise, it doesn't necessarily feel like entry level, but the IS in general is, the entry level Lexus, and being a small sedan, it's kind of getting left behind because small sedans in general in America are just getting left behind, period. But like I said, we do have some nice features here. These nice leatherette seats, the new Lux leather, they are bolstered nice and aggressively. This is an F Sport and it's a 500. I would expect that these would be bolstered aggressively, and they are. If you're on the bigger side, you're gonna maybe have some problems here, but I like how well they hug me in. I like that they feel nice and tight. They are power adjustable, lumbar support. You've got heat and ventilation. It does not matter whether you're in the premium or the regular trim level here. These are the circuit red seats. You get circuit red, you can get black, or you can get a mix of white and black. If you get the special edition version, then there'll be some like blue trim around. But the red here, the circuit red, I do like a lot of the reds that all the automakers are going to, even the other Lexus cars. But where it really stands out is some of these hard plastics here, since this again has been left behind a little bit. We do have a lot of these hard plastics going on, and the red plastics in the door and in the glove box, they're really pretty bright red, a little bit in your face. So I probably would just go with the black if it were me. And note that this is circuit red, which is different than the Roja red in the regular IS, the non-500 version. We do have the nice leather wrap steering wheel here. We do have paddle shifters. Of course, you got to have paddle shifters for something that is on the sportier side here. Have the hard plastic buttons for controlling your gauge cluster here, as well as your cruise control, your lane assist. We do have the old school version of the gauge cluster here with the big tack in the middle, the circle that kind of moves back and forth. With the big tack in the middle, your speed, your temperatures, your fuel, it's pretty basic here, and I actually love that it is basic, and I love that the tack is right in the middle on something a little bit sportier. You can cycle through some information through here, but there's not a whole lot in there. You got the infotainment is the 10.3 inch. This is one of the differences between the regular and the premium. This is the 10.3 inch, whereas if you're in the regular trim, then you're getting the 8-inch screen. This one also gives you nav with the dynamic voice recognition, as well as the destination assist, which I think is kind of a funny feature. You can actually call a person, they will set your destination for you. Pretty funny to see that here in 2024. But it does have Android Auto, it does have Apple CarPlay, both are wired. I didn't expect it to be wireless with this system being pretty dated. The system is a combination of touchscreen here and this nice trackpad that needs to just go ahead and die. So glad that they're getting rid of this trackpad thing in all of the other models, and I'm just ready for it to go away. The good thing is most of the stuff that you need is going to be outside of that system. You do have all your HVAC controls down here, buttons and knobs, except for this slider. You have a real CD player. That's pretty cool. You got some of this brushed aluminum stuff. The brushed aluminum and the satin is going to be in all of the 500 trim levels. This is the only gloss black through here, thankfully. I wish that even that gloss black wasn't there, but that is one benefit of this not being updated, is all the updated models are going to a lot more gloss black. So at least that is the end of it right there. We got heated and ventilated seats, heated steering wheel, all standard no matter which trim level of the 500 you get. You got the old school shifter here. You got your USB ports down here, as well as a jack for your aux cable and a cigarette lighter. Sound from there is going through the 17 speaker Mark Levinson sound system. That is one of the biggest differences here between the regular and the premium trim level. 17 speakers in this tiny little area, pretty nice system. I would definitely recommend that for the audiophiles. If you've heard any of the Mark Levinson systems in any of the Lexus models, then you know that it's a pretty solid system. We do have the home link with the auto dimming mirror here. No matter which trim level, we've got the moonroof, no matter which trim level here, and that will tilt and slide. Just in the front here, it's not like all the way back, so the kids back there aren't getting quite as much light, not like a pano roof or anything like that. The back seats are super tight back there. My kids are in forward-facing seats. Their feet are a little bit too close for comfort to these front seats here, but they do sort of just barely fit. They're almost 5 and almost 7 years old. That'll give you a little bit of an idea on size. Rear-facing seats really aren't going to work too well unless maybe you can get one on the passenger side and have the passenger side pushed way up, but then you can't really have a passenger here unless they have no legs. It does have the fold down center armrest, no cup holders or anything like that. They do have their own vents, no charging ports or anything back there, just vents. In that back window back there, we have a power sunshade because we're in the premium trim. That would not be in the regular IS 500, and I did not expect to see that even in the premium trim, but kind of an interesting little addition. I've been driving this car around for the last week, daily driving as well as some spirited drives, and it's just such a pleasant car to drive in general, and it is very fun when you start to push it. I'll get into both of those and tell you about the pluses and minuses of both of those situations. Make sure to use the chapters below if you only care about one or the other. But as for daily driving, this thing does have a Lexus badge on it. It's smooth, it's comfortable, it's much quieter in here than I expected it to be. I've said this before, Lexus does not know how to make a harsh ride, and this does have the adaptive variable suspension. Your setup here is going to be the same as if you got the IS 350 with the dynamic handling package. So you've got double wishbone front suspension, multi-link rear. You get the Torsen LSD, the limited slip differential, in the back because this is rear drive only when you get the 500. And you get the adaptive variable suspension with the different driving modes here, as well as a custom mode. So you can adjust the suspension settings here, but even in the harshest setting, it never really gets harsh. And it's much quieter than I expected it to be in here. On the highway, if you're on a little bit of a rougher road, you do get a little bit of that road noise, actually quite a bit of the road noise. But on a smooth road, totally fine. These tires are actually a little quieter than I expected them to be. There's not really any wind noise to speak of, maybe a tiny bit. So it is much quieter, much more comfortable than I expected it to be. We even have radar cruise. I didn't really expect to have radar cruise. Above 30 miles an hour, you can set that and it'll go down to full stop and go. And there's even a lane centering. This is the Lexus 2.5 system here, so they have not upgraded it to the 3.0 yet, and I'm not really surprised by that, but I was surprised that we have the radar cruise and there's even some lane centering going on. We got the pedestrian. The lane centering is pretty good. It's not nearly as good as the 3.0 system, but it's okay. But on a long road trip, it's definitely nice to have that feature. It has the pedestrian monitoring, it has rear cross traffic alert, it has blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic braking, it has some vehicle avoidance systems as well. It really is loaded up with all the safety features that you would want and expect from a luxury vehicle. It just hasn't quite taken that next leap into the next level here with the 3.0. So it would be nice if they would update that for sure. And we have the traffic sign recognition as well. So it'll tell you what the speed limit is, tell you if there's signs coming up. Great to have that as well. And visibility all around. The mirrors are a little bit on the small side, but visibility is very good. The B-pillar here is not too thick. For a sedan, that back window is actually pretty big and pretty easy to see out of. Really very nice as a daily driver. I didn't expect it to be so smooth and comfortable when it's so compact in this 500. So we've got the nice long wheelbase. It's quiet, great safety features. Overall, very nice and easy to daily drive. Now, I mentioned those driving modes. You want to pop it into Sport or Sport Plus, it will get out of its own way. It is nice and quick, 4.4 second 0 to 60 time here. It does have a little bit of a problem with overwhelming the tires here. It is on the cold side here. It's only 35 degrees. And I am on summer tires, so maybe not the best situation for it, but these tires should be nice and warm at this point. I've been driving around for a little while now. They should be warmed up. I did get quite a bit of spin there. It is easy to overwhelm the tires. Now, that can also be a good thing. It can be fun to overwhelm the tires. Obviously, you can get the back end out pretty easily here if you want to get it out. A note about that though, for the traction control system, if you're driving around and you want to turn your traction control off, you have to be under 30 miles an hour. And then once you go back over 30, it will automatically turn back on. But if you come to a full stop, if you want to defeat that system, you have to come to a full stop, put it in Sport Plus mode, hold down the traction button for 3 seconds, and it'll turn off your VSC as well as your traction control, and that will stay off. I do feel like I have to make a bit of a disclaimer, like don't be an idiot, but that is the way to defeat that if you'd like to, and then you can get the back out pretty easily. It is pretty easy to overwhelm. And when you do really start to push it, even when you have it in Sport Plus mode, it won't bring it out quite as far as I would like to. So you do have to pop it into manual mode here if you want to control the transmission yourself. It'll get more aggressive than normal mode, and it'll actually get a little bit harsh on the shifts. It's a lot harsher on the shifts than I expected, but that's really only in Sport Plus. in normal mode, it's nice and smooth. I do wish that it shifted a little bit quicker. I wish it reacted a little bit more quickly to the paddles. There is definitely a bit of a delay both on the upshifts and the downshifts. So I wish that was a little bit of a quicker response. This is the transmission out of the RCF, the 8-speed out of the RCF. Note that this is going to be a different transmission than if you were in the all-wheel drive regular IS, the IS350, because that one is a 6-speed. If you're in the rear drive, you get the 8-speed, and then the 500 gets the 8-speed out of the RCF. And when you are pushing it, it doesn't roll a ton. It rolls just enough to make you feel like you're doing something, which is good, but not so much that you feel like you're like losing confidence in it. And it's not uncomfortable. It's actually like just the right amount of roll to it. The steering does get nice and heavy if you put it into the Sport Plus mode, but it's definitely an artificial feeling of heaviness. Does not really use in 2024 here that you're not getting a ton of communication through the wheel, especially with a Lexus. But it does make it a little bit heavier, which is quite, it's nice. At least it makes it feel like you're doing a little bit more than if it were just like the super, super light steering that you get when you have it in eco mode. But as an overall driving experience, it's such a great daily driver. There are a few things when you start to push it hard that you notice that are a little bit on the frustrating side, but it is good for, a spirited drive here and there. Definitely still an enjoyable experience for that. While it may not be the most engaging of the sports sedans out there, and it could definitely use some updates, especially on the interior, it is hard not to enjoy driving this car around. It looks great, it sounds so wonderful, and it just feels a little bit more special than a lot of the stuff out there. The naturally aspirated V8 with a Lexus badge, that is not something we are ever going to see again. If you have any comments about this car, let me know down below. Anything you agree with, disagree with, anything I missed. As always, hit all the YouTube buttons, the like, the share, everything down there below, because it really does help me get into more cars, bring more cars to you, help me feed my obsession with driving as many cars as I can. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.